listening to Keith Price's Curtain Call. Welcome back to yet another episode of Keith Price's Curtain Call, and I'm so excited because, this COVID has slowed everybody down from getting to see things and getting to talk to people and getting to enjoy the theater like I want to. But baby, when it comes back fierce. I've got to say, and I just said this to my next guest who's going to be on with us, that one of the interesting things about Broadway this particular season I have noticed is that there are a lot of shows with a lot of Black folks on that stage. There's a lot of Black folks on the stage. There's a lot of Black folks behind the stage. There's a lot of Black folks doing things. And it's like, it's almost as if we went from 0 to 100 in the course of a season. And this particular young woman that I have with me today is in one of the newest, well, it's a revival. Let me get that out there first. Of Ntozake Shange's For Colored Girls Who Have Considered Suicide When the Rainbow Is Enough. Not to be confused with that hot mess that Tyler Perry did as a movie, but I'm not going to, yeah, I said it. Yes, Miss Stacey, I did say it. Shush. You don't get involved. You do not get involved. That'll be between me and him. However, you as the lady in blue, I was just like, it's all of the colors of the rainbow, all sisters of color, all shades of color. Just let me make sure we put that in there. Yeah. And they are expressing the plight of Black women that back in 1975, 76, whenever this first production was done, 76. At the same theater, thank you very much, the Booth Theater, that the struggles then are the same as the struggles today. So I want to start this conversation like getting into it with who's probably going to be my new girlfriend at the end of the show, because that's generally how our interviews tend to go. But this young lady is a LaGuardia High School graduate. She went to the Fame School. Didn't end up like Coco. Thank you very much. She She went to Syracuse University studying musical theater, where a lot of names of folks that came out of Syracuse doing musical theater. I want to say, did Vanessa Williams go to school there? No.
Yeah. She did go to school there. She was a graduate of the drama department.
See?
As well. And she's right next door to us in
POTUS. Yes. Mm-hmm. Is that crazy? Oh my God. That's another show that we got to talk about another day. However, what these young women are doing on this stage is far from miraculous, primarily because, one, you don't see a show on Broadway with 7 Black women. Wait, 5 Black women.
7. It's 7 of them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. 7 Black women, directed and choreographed by a Black woman. There's a lot of Black women that are doing a whole lot of stuff. I know the musical director is also a woman. It's like, it is.
Stage management team is Black everything. Females.
So mm-hmm. It's like, it is one of the few things where you see it all being done this way. And I am so thrilled to have Stacey Sargeant, who is here with me today, Lady in Blue from Broadway. And this is her Broadway debut. Now, if you really want to get some scandal before we start talking, you should go and check her out at StaceySargeant.com and go look at her reel so you can see how this sister has been making her way through the world of acting and having a wonderful time. So first of all, thank you for spending some time with me, Stacey. How are you doing, baby?
I am well. Thank you so much for having me.
Now, let's just get it started. This is your Broadway debut,
mm-hmm.
which means that you've been doing some off-Broadway. You've been, doing the hustle, like they say, the kids are saying. Uh-huh. And how did you end up getting into this show? Who found you?
So Camille, I was, let me see, casting reached out to my manager in 2021 in the summer when they were doing a reading and workshop for Colored Girls, but I wasn't available at the time. And I was Very disappointed because actually my introduction into acting, so I went to LaGuardia High School,
Mhm.
which you mentioned, but I was a voice major.
Okay.
And I was in the AP English class, and they had a concentration in drama. And I was like, well, I don't know anything about acting because I also was attending Dance Theater of Harlem at the same time.
Oh,
So
wow.
in my AP English class, I was given the Toussaint monologue from For Colored Girls to present to class. And that was
Ooh.
literally my foray into acting. And I then started hanging out with a lot of drama majors, and I was bit by the bug.
Okay. Okay.
And then I decided to audition for musical theater programs in colleges. And that's how I ended up at Syracuse University, because I had no acting training, but I had dance training and voice training.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
um, so anyway, fast forward to 2021, they reached out. I wasn't available then, but then Camille was like, no worries. They ended up calling me into the final callbacks because the role, obviously Lady in Blue,
Mhm.
she dances a lot. I
Yes,
mean,
she
we all
does.
dance a lot, but then I have that one, the first poem that I do, the Love You More Than um, poem. So, and I hadn't danced in, I would say, a little over 10 years. I hadn't really done a musical that required me to dance in this way.
Mhm.
So I went in and did what I do, was able to pull it out my back pocket.
I can only imagine. You.
Yeah, no, I've been doing more television and film lately.
Mhm.
And so I just was not conditioned. But prior to going into the audition, I started doing ballet bars at home.
Mhm.
But honestly, nothing can prepare you for Camille A. Brown's choreography.
she, let me tell you something. I remember seeing Choir Boy. That was my first introduction to
Mm,
her choreography, and then Once on This Island.
okay.
And I remember I had a chance to interview her. I think it was right around the time for Once on This Island, and I said to her, "It's like you have no qualms about putting in what I perceive as movement that tends to be, how do I want to say, that lends itself more for Black folks. Like there's a lot of
Yeah,
African dancing, there's a lot of it,
yeah,
and
she is.
she's very imprecise about that."
Yeah, she has always been that way. So I know. So Camille also went to LaGuardia High School,
That's
and
right.
I have a cousin who went there, and Camille ended up choreographing on my cousin in her senior year, and that was the first time I had seen her choreography, and I was just
Wow.
blown away. Um, so to see her now directing, and this is the perfect piece for her as it's a choreo poem.
Yeah.
Um, I'm so proud of her and just delighted to bring her vision to life, because she's really taken this piece, I would say, by the horns and made it her own.
And for me, what I loved is that when I was in college back in those years, anyway, uh, I remember reading parts of For Color Girls because I took a dramatic interpretation of literature, and what our teacher did was she just made it all about Black theater. So she was just like, we ain't even gonna perpetrate. This is what we're gonna do in my class. And so that was one of the pieces that we read. And I just remember when I was reading it, I was just trying to think, how does something like this get staged?
Mhm.
How does something like this run in a Broadway setting? How does this work? And I got to tell you, y'all are turning that stuff out, honey. Like
Well,
that show
you
is
mentioned,
amazing.
thank you. You mentioned, that the plight of Black women, but one of the things that Camille really wanted to focus on was also the joy.
That's it.
And I really feel like she accomplished that, because it really comes out, I think, in the movement, but also just in the communion of us on stage and
Yeah.
the women that she has brought together. Like, we truly adore and respect each other and what everybody
Oh,
is bringing to this piece, because we're all so unique,
yeah.
you
That's
know?
the beautiful part about it. And then, like, in different stages of career development, different stages of life,
Yeah.
and it's all part of what I think is the tapestry that makes that show work. So how much joy are you having showing up and signing your name at that stage door?
Oh my God.
Signing in, baby.
It's a huge responsibility, telling this story. And I when I walk into that theater every night, I think about my mother, I think about my grandmother, my aunties,
Mm-hmm.
and I think about the little Black girls like myself, because my journey here was not easy. Um, I started dancing when I was 3. My parents put me in ballet classes when I was 3.
Wow.
And
Okay.
I came up a lot against a lot of obstacles because I wasn't sinewy and didn't have the classical ballet body.
Classic ballet body.
Exactly.
Mm.
And so it was very difficult. Most of my teachers encouraged me to focus on my academics. But there was something in me. I knew what I wanted at a
Mm-hmm.
very early age. And I was very determined, but it also was the catalyst for me having a lot of self-esteem and body image issues.
Right.
Uh, so the fact that Camille cast me in this show, in this particular role, and that it's the show that I'm making my Broadway debut in, I remember that, and I don't take it lightly,
Mm.
because I know that there's so much messaging out there to women and girls who look like me, that teach us that we're not worthy. And I think that is what this show is about. The last line is, I found God in myself and I loved her fiercely. And that has been my personal journey in my life, because there was a point where I wasn't loving myself fiercely,
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't think I was deserving of that. So it is it's a huge responsibility when I sign in every day on that call board. I don't take it lightly.
That's amazing. I love that. Hold on, just excuse me. But you, along with those 6 other women, y'all are telling so many varied stories. You're sharing so many variable emotions. You go for, there's the pain, and then you go to the joy, then you go to the laughter, and you go, and then even there was a review that I read about one of the scenes, one of the poems, and it was my stuff, took my stuff. And the reviewer was like, well, it's a much more serious approach, and I wish that they had been more serious about that. Because I sat in that audience and I did not miss the pain of what was being put out in that speech. But I also loved the laughter that it also created, because I am a comedian. And so for me, I saw exactly what that moment was supposed to be, which was, yes, I'm on the other side of this now and I'm laughing about it. But when I was in the middle of it, that stuff was not cute. And it was like a testament to surviving that whole experience. And it's like in almost every poem that has like a sad, tragic moment, there's that, except for that lady in red number. But for everybody else's, there's the pain and joy, pain and joy.
Yes.
This is what happened, but this is where we are now.
But that's life,
That's
right? Isn't
life.
that life? I mean, we wouldn't be here if we didn't have the joy,
Yeah.
you know?
Because the pain would have taken a lot of us out.
Exactly. So it's necessary, and I'm so glad that this production highlights the joy,
Yeah.
as well.
Well, what else is bringing you joy right now? I mean, you're on Broadway, so that's woo, let's take that for the moment. But what else is happening now in your life because of this experience?
Well, I don't know. I honestly don't know if it's because of this experience, because I've always been somebody that's very focused and have a lot of things going on
Okay.
at the
So
same
this is just one
time.
of many.
So this is yes. So
So busy.
no, so prior to the pandemic, I was working on a solo show
Uh-huh.
uh, called "But What Trouble Is This?" So it's autobiographical, based on my experience coming up as a first generation
That's
uh,
right.
daughter of Trinidadian immigrants in East New York, Brooklyn, trying to find success in this industry.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and so once the pandemic happened, theater was at a screeching halt.
Mm-hmm.
I had always intended to adapt it into a television series, so I started writing that TV pilot in the pandemic. So that's one thing that is, there's some irons in the fire with that, but
Mm-hmm.
also now that theater is back up and running, I will be doing, the public is producing a 29-hour reading of that in the summer. So I'm really excited about that. That's going to be directed by Steve Broadnax, the
Okay.
third, who directed Thoughts of a Colored Man
Mm-hmm.
this season as well on Broadway. So that's very exciting. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it's great. So, all right. So now, all right. So you're first generation American
Mm-hmm.
in East New York. I'm first generation American. I was born in Brooklyn, but moved to
Oh,
Texas. So,
okay. What part of Brooklyn?
uh, East New York.
Wait,
Cooper's.
you
I
were
was on.
born in East New York too?
I was born in East New York. Yep. Yes. I crazy.
That is insane.
Crazy. Right off of Bushwick and Cooper was where I used to live.
Okay.
And
I
it's
went
like,
to junior high school in Bushwick.
see, oh my
Yeah.
God, see. So and and I remember. Now I'm a considerably older than you are, seasoned, I should say. And I remember having to have discussions with my parents about the practicality of wanting to have a career that was
Mm.
not medicine or law. Because I was pre-med when I was in college, but that changed very quickly as time went on. So what was the conversation that you had with your parents when you finally said, listen, this is what I'm gonna do? Because I know it was not an easy one.
Well, it's interesting because, like I mentioned, they're the ones who put me
Put
in
you in
ballet,
ballet, right?
right? I don't know that they thought I was going to take it as seriously as I did, though I will say that my mom in the pandemic found a copy of a letter that my dad wrote when I was like 2.5 years old. Um, I don't know if it was to like an agency or what, but it was like about getting his daughter in the film business. I was
Put it
two
to
and
work.
a half. So my dad always said like the reason they put me in ballet was that they just saw something in me. I had like, just this
That energy.
personality, that energy, and they wanted to, just, they didn't want me to have too much idle time. Also, that was another thing.
Because
Um,
I'm assured that there's a little religious background, and idle hands is perfect for the devil's workshop, right?
Listen, yes. Um, so I was in ballet from 3 years old, and then being in that environment, I knew about LaGuardia High School because I was so I started training at a studio in Carnegie Hall. And I was in my class, there were older students in my class that I was training with, and some of them were students at LaGuardia. So I just knew, I was like, oh, that's where I'm gonna go.
Mm-hmm.
And then also I started studying classical piano while I was training in ballet at Carnegie Hall. So I decided when it was time to audition for high school, I was like, I don't care what my major is, I'm going to high school of performing arts. So I auditioned
Whatever.
for dance, I auditioned for piano, And I used to sing in the shower, and I auditioned for voice. And my dad, he bet me $1,000 that I wouldn't get in for voice. $500 that I wouldn't get in for piano. And I said, well, how much are you going to bet me if I get in for dance? He was like, what do you think, I stupid? He didn't bet me anything for dance. Turns out I didn't get in for dance, but I got in for piano and I got in for voice. So I chose voice because I had absolutely no training in that, but I was, taking classes, piano classes outside of school. So now at LaGuardia, I was still focused on dance. And then I ended up changing dance schools and going to Dance Theater of Harlem. So now while I'm at DTH, I'm still running into the same obstacles with my body. And it was actually worse, the abuse that I was on the receiving end of. Yeah, it was pretty bad. But I didn't know it at the time.
Which is sometimes the biggest blessing.
It's part of the culture. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then in my junior year, like I mentioned, was when I started I was like, oh, this acting thing might be the way. Right?
This is kind of fun.
Yeah. So unbeknownst to me, when I decided to audition for musical theater programs, my dad was having conversations with my mom because he was concerned about me studying this like seriously. And my mom's response to him was, listen, if she gets in, then she must have something. Right? So leave the girl alone. But also, I have to say this, my mom, when I was in her womb, she told me that she used to rub her belly and pray that the Lord would make this one a star. That was my mom's prayer. That was her actual prayer. So you're going to make
she must be falling out knowing you on Broadway. Every time she turns on the TV and there's a little slip of you in that hijab or something like that, that's my daughter. Yes. Yes, my prayers are getting answered.
She's delighted. So, I ended up going to Syracuse. And then when I got out of school, the year I graduated, Syracuse Stage, which is attached to the drama department at Syracuse University, they produced a show off Broadway. So that's how I ended up joining Equity. And but then that show closed, and then I was collecting unemployment and doing that whole thing. And my dad, he just didn't get it. And he's like, well, for years after I became a professional actress, he was like, I'll pay for law school. He just wanted my financial security, and I get it.
Yeah, because this is trust, honey. This is on every level. It's not great, It's
not easy. It's not easy at all. But I like both of my parents. I'm very determined, and when I put my mind to something, that's just what it's going to be.
and that's how it needs to be.
Yeah, and it wasn't until honestly. It wasn't until I did a reading of my solo show that my parents came to that my dad was finally like, you just need one person who believes in this. He's like, he saw it, and he saw how you can take your story and take the lemons of my life and turn it into lemonade, but also have an effect on other people.
Right.
And so he saw, I think, for the first time, the power of theater. And he's no longer with us, bless his heart.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. But I have to tell you this story. So back in 2008, there was supposed to be a revival of For Color Girls. I think Taraji was supposed to sing it or something. And I had the book at home on my coffee table. And I was at this particular point, I was about to go on tour with Legally Blonde. And my parents came to pick me up at my apartment to take me. We were leaving from the Palace Theater.
Oh.
And we're in the car, we're sitting in front of Palace Theater, and my dad gets real serious. And he's like, he goes under his shirt and pulls out this book, and he slams it down like between him and my mom in the front seat. And he's like, what is the meaning of this? And I was like, what do you, the play for colored girls? Suicide. What is the meaning of this? he thought it was an instruction manual.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, I'm not letting my girl go on this bus.
I'm telling these people
to commit suicide and me not intervene.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Oh.
Yeah.
Again,
and again, to be making my Broadway debut in this show, I'm like, you up there doing something. And I hope you're having a good kiki, as you say.
Yes.
About the fact that I'm making my debut in this show.
As the professional actress that you are. Boom. Hello. Isn't that amazing? I just love it. So again, you are on Broadway now. You have experienced television. You're working in films. You've gotten to really get your foot in every genre that this medium allows us to have as theater. I think it's like, what are you? I hate to ask people like what their favorite is, because it's sort of like it's because it's work. So whatever you work, and I'm always happy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But like, when you get the opportunity, where does your heart, like, if you have the choices to make between projects that you really like, where do you want your heart to follow? What path does your heart tend to follow?
Oh, wow. I mean, that's such a difficult question. For me right now, television and film, I think, is, because I didn't start out in television and film, I am enjoying the challenge of it, and the challenge of becoming a better television and film actress, because they're different techniques.
Right.
And I feel like I'm now, the more experience I have on camera, I'm understanding the technique of it better. And so I feel more challenged by it. And it's not to say that theater isn't challenging, because certainly what I'm doing 8 times a week is challenging.
Yes,
but it's in a different way. It's physically challenging, and it's taxing on the body, and you have to care for yourself in a different way, I feel, than you have to care for yourself when you're doing on-camera work. Also, with on-camra work, you get a lot more coins.
But when money is not the objective,
yes,
then what really gets you excited? Besides, as you're saying, television now, because
honestly, it all gets me excited, because as long as the storytelling is good. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And there's certain things that I think live better in the theater than on camera.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just depends on how the story is being told. I'm like, as long as it's quality work, quality writing, I'm here for it.
All right. Because you're in the triple threat domain, so you're ready for the next movie musical
now, because I'm writing.
Oh, that's right, because you do write. Yes. So you could be writing your next movie musical.
Yes, I am.
Boom. Okay. I love that. Oh my God, Stacey. So I don't want to keep you for too much longer, because we got a couple more minutes left. But what I'd love to know now is, Now that you've got a firm planting right now with this show for colored girls who've considered the rainbows enough. Just for those people who did not know, just in case it shows, I hope it turns out the right way when we see it on film.
Yes, please. I'm so glad you're doing this because we need people to come out and support this show.
Because this is a show that stereotypically would not be on the list of people that are coming to New York. You know, I want to see a show. I want to see a show. They want to come and see like The Music Man or Lion King or all those things.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it very real. We have been playing to half-filled houses.
Okay, well then that needs to change right now.
Yeah, we need the people to come out.
So for those of you who are within the range of my voice and you can hear me talking, this is an absolutely fantastic production that you better put on your list to see when you come to New York City. And if you are living in New York City, don't pretend that you can't get TKTS or TDF or Today Tix or somebody and come see the show, because you need to round out your full theatrical experience. And I think that this is one of those shows that will challenge the average theater goer. Mm-hmm. Which, you know, not that they need to be challenged, but this is certainly going to take them into place, because I'm working at I'm an usher at another theater that's got another show that's going on. Mm-hmm. And quite honestly, it's a kind of a depressing show. It's really depressing.
But our show, despite the title, our show is not,
but it's not that way.
It is uplifting
and very joyous,
healing. There's so much laughter, mm-hmm. And communion with the audience. Do not let the title of this play fool you.
No, because you will really cheat yourself and rob yourself of some fantastic performances that include Miss Stacey Sargeant, and this brilliant direction and choreography by Camille Brown, who y'all already know. If y'all listen to me, you know I really love her. So that's like, I probably was gonna love it anyway, just because it was her. But I'm glad that I don't have to pretend that I'm loving it because it's her. Because this is a dynamic show, and it is a very powerful show. And I feel like, you know, this is a time, especially for folks of color, this is a time for you to come and see yourselves represented on this great white way in different ways that you may never even imagine, because there's so much happening on, which is another thing too, is because there's so many shows on Broadway right now that mm-hmm. have lots of folks of color in leads and stuff like that. It may make your choices difficult, but if you got it, come and see it, because you will be rewarded for it. It will be truly an emotional reward. And it's a 90-minute in and out, baby. So you can make it back to wherever you came from like that. So, yes. You know, when you can pack power in 90 minutes, then it's always worth it to come and see and share. So, Miss Sargeant, thank you so much for spending time with me. This is fantastic. So much, and fun. I just, you know, when you get backstage, tell Kenita Miller I'm looking for her, and we need to make this happen soon before she had that baby. And and for all of you guys that are the theater fans, you know, I tell you to go see live theater wherever you can see it. But if you're coming to New York, please, please, please put For Colored Girls Who Have Considered Suicide. And do not watch that movie with Tyler Perry. I'm going to say it again. I'm just going to say it.
You just bookended.
Because I need to say that. I need to let people know. So don't come looking for that. Come looking for what's really happening, the true words and the true meaning. All right. So
thank you so much.
You're so welcome. And we are going to be back.